The month has turned over, and that means July is here. It's a new month and a new slate for Glens Falls, and they can get an early win here in the month of July against the team they are 3-3 against in 2025. Welcome all down to Kansine Veteran Memorial Field here in Saugerties, New York. I'm Nathaniel Cunningham, taking you through the entire matchup between the Saugerties Stallions and the Glens Falls Dragons. Matchup tonight, again, the first matchup for Glens Falls in the month of July. And it's important to note, through the first 11 games here in 2025, Glens Falls was 3-8. Since then, they've gone 5-5 over their last 10. While the position in the standings hasn't changed, what is important is that the Dragons are getting hot while the rest of the league is starting to cool down. Even Amsterdam, the team that's clearly been ahead of everybody in the East Division standings, they went 6-3-1 this past week. So if Glens Falls can pick up a couple more of these wins, like they did a couple days ago against this Saugerties team, then they might be able to see some success in roll through July as we head towards the home stretch. It's a little bit of a different lineup, mostly the same, though, for Glens Falls. How about we run you through it real quick? Tyree Jackson, he's going to lead it off, as he always does. Speedy center fielder. We'll start it off for the Dragons. Trent Jinks is in the 2-hole. He's in the designated hitter spot today. Aiden Gallagher's over and left. Gino Savoca's been the straight-up cleanup guy since probably about the second week of the season. He slots in there. And the 4-hole. Tyler Figueroa is the second baseman. He's hitting 5. Joe Carpier's is at third in the 6-hole. The extra hitter in today's game, as the Dragons choosing to hit 10, is going to be Robert Mello. Jackson Mueller's over at first. Joe Haynes is behind the dish. And then James Houghton, getting just his third game played so far this season, in his second start, will be out in right field. Defensively for Saugerties, it's a very different lineup. From left to right in the outfield, you go Ryan King. In center, it's Dylan Fitzsimmons. And then over in right, it's John Freitag. On the infield, you got a couple of new guys, Anthony Frobos and Mike LeBenson. Their first games here in Saugerties on the middle infield. Casey Kaminsky's at third, Dylan Passo's at first, and Logan Sanchez is behind the dish. On the mound's Keller Osmond. The first pitch he throws to Tyree Jackson, who loves to be aggressive, is fouled off along the bleacher section, and we're underway here in Saugerties. Mentioned Tyree Jackson's speed out of that 1-hole. When he gets on, he can be successful. Also aggressive early as he takes that one, fouls it off, digs himself an early 0-2 count. Last time these two squads had faced off, Tyree Jackson went 3 for 6 as that one runs inside. Almost nails him and actually ends up behind Jackson. So yeah, in that matchup, Jackson, he had 6 at-bats, went 3 for 6, had a run batted in. Didn't come around to score, which is rare for Tyree Jackson in his speed. Also, not a stolen base, but was every time he reached base was there with runners in front of him. So got a chance to put Glens Falls on the board early. The 1-2 misses outside. So Saugerties has been on a little bit of a slide, making it more of a play with Glens Falls. About 2.5 games out of that final playoff spot. The 2-2 to Jackson misses outside. And now, just like that, Jackson's worked his way into a full count. Glens Falls worked into between a game of the Utica Blue Sox, who own that 5-hole spot. Now they see themselves 2.5 games back. Jackson takes the full count pitch, lines it out to center field. Fitzsimmons has got to go back a couple of steps just short of the warning track, but brings it in for out number 1. So quick work to center field. A tough at-bat for Jackson, but it goes in the favor of Keller Osmond. And the Saugerties pick up out number 1. Osmond didn't have the best performance for Saugerties back on Saturday when these two teams faced off. He did pitch 2 innings, gave up 4 hits, and gave up a run. Didn't end up creating really crucial, but it was a tying run at the time. Luckily, Saugerties' lineup was able to come back in retake the lead in Osmond's second inning of work. Didn't walk anybody, though, and struck out 3. So Osmond has kind of been, at times, a problem for the Dragons as the first pitch to Trent Jenks. He takes a half-hearted cut at, but goes too far. It came out of nowhere that Jenks started a little slow to this season, but since then, how about a .385 batting average through 16 games so far? He's got a couple doubles to his name, 3 to be exact, a triple as well. The bigger problem is that he's known to chase quite a bit. Only 2 walks so far in 2025, 10 strikeouts to his name. The 1-1 is low. Jenks was also the DH back on Saturday, and it wasn't an eventful day for him. He went 0 for 5. Only struck out once, flew out to right a couple of times, grounded out a couple of times as the 2-1 also bounces in the dirt. And so now, just like that, back-to-back batters, Saugerties starter Keller Osmond has got 3 balls. So Jenks quickly coming set. The 3-1, fouled straight back. And now it becomes back-to-back batters that reach full counts. And I mentioned defensively a little bit of a difference for Saugerties, missing some pieces. Well, how about really the big part of the staff for the Stallions? No Travis Hobbins, Siefkin in the lineup, no Jamie Z as well, the co-PGCBL player of the week. The full count pitch misses inside for ball 4. And Tyree Jackson worked a full count, ended up flying to center. Trent Jenks works the full count, and he'll take his way to first base. So Aiden Gallagher steps into the dish on another guy that solidified his spot in the lineup. They're hitting 3. It's because he's hitting .366 so far this season with 2 long balls. That leads the Dragons this season. His 9 RBIs, that also leads Glens Falls so far as he watches the first pitch in the dirt for ball 1. And it looks like Osmond might have lost the zone a little bit here early. Just the second start of the year for Osmond as he almost hits Gallagher high in it. So it's his 4th total appearance for the righty. And really, it's been stellar. He's got a 1.93 ERA as he gets a big cut from Gallagher on the 2-0. Osmond has pitched, it seems like, almost every time against these Dragons. A couple of times up at Eastfield as well. The 2-1 is weakly hit into shallow center field. Fitzsimmons has got to run in. He turns on the horses, and he can't come up with it. Originally, Jenks thought it was caught, so he started going back to first. Luckily, he gets into second safely, and Aiden Gallagher knocks a base knock to put 2 runners on with 1 out here on the top of the first. So now in steps the shortstop Gino Savoca, the first lefty in the lineup for this Dragons squad. And the shortstop is known for his late-game heroics. Has an emphasis to come up big time when it matters. The first pitch he sees hits the outside half for strike 1. And although he went just 1 for 4 in that game on Saturday, his 1 base knock was in the 9th inning. He came around to score. That made it a 2-run game. 2 batters later, Joe Carpier's hit 1 out. And just like that, it was a 1-run lead for the Dragons. So now Osmond's quickly made it an 0-2 count to Savoca, who's got a couple of questions for home plate umpire. The 0-2. Chopped off foul. Savoca was well out in front of it, but gets a piece. The home plate umpire in today's game, it's going to be Stu Kornberg. Out in the field, it'll be Joe Lasapanera Sr. See a little bit of Joe Lasapanera Jr. as well. The 0-2 to Savoca. He checks his swing. They'll ask if he went around, and Lasapanera Sr. says no, he didn't. The entire Saugerties lineup, which is right below our broadcast booth, kind of in unison said, yes, he did, yes, he did. And we have a pretty good viewpoint up here in the booth at Cantine. Didn't look like Savoca went around. Lasapanera Sr. agreed. The 1-2 from Osbin runs inside, and Savoca has even discounted 2 apiece. So it's Jenks who sits over at second. Gallagher stands at first. Savoca, the cleanup hitter, has worked himself into a 2-2 count. Got a chance to add RBI number 7 with a runner in scoring position. The 2-2 to Savoca. Runs inside. Sanchez luckily grabs it and draws the count full. How about 3 of these first 4 batters Keller Osbin has drawn full counts? 2 of them, Osbin had 0-2 counts. And the Dragons batters have worked their way back. So Osbin takes his time before coming set. The payoff pitch. It's lined out into right field. About goes Freitag. He brings it in, going backwards. Immediately, Jenks will tag towards third, and he'll get in there with ease. So Savoca flies out to right field, but brings a runner 90 feet closer to home. Now there's runners on the corners with 2 outs here in the top of the first. So now in steps the second baseman in Tyler Figueroa. Figueroa was the guy that brought in Savoca. That made it a 1-run ball game in Saturday's contest. As some movement over there at first from Savoca, he gets back in, from Gallagher, he gets back in there safely. Gallagher got caught moving a little bit too much towards second. Osbin with an excellent move to go check on him. But Gallagher got back in safely. Again, Gallagher aggressive. He gets off again, and this time they got him. Gallagher being too aggressive, trying to get into scoring position. And instead, he gets stranded on the base paths. And you can see head coach Ryan Dio. He is upset. Not often that you see the boss have this type of attitude coming across the diamond like this. But either way, it's a tie game still after the top half of the first here at Cantine. The Dragons had an early chance, and they come up empty-handed here at Cantine Field in Saugerties, New York. It was runners on the corners with 2 outs before Aiden Gallagher gets stranded and first, trying to be a little too fancy dancing around over there. Now he keeps the game tied and hands the ball over to the starter, Michael Sweeney, who looks to keep this Saugerties offense at bay. We mentioned defensively a little bit of a different lineup. You know that means offensively there is equally one. How about Casey Kaminsky, the third baseman? He is hitting leadoff for the Stallions. Anthony Frobos, the new guy, over at short is in 2. Dylan Passos at first, he's hitting 3. And George Baker, a newer guy that joined the Stallions on their road stretch, is in the designated hitter spot. Logan Sanchez behind the plate. John Freitag is over out in right. Ryan King's in left. Mike Levinson is over at second. Dylan Fitzsimmons is in center field, and then Anthony Lino is the extra hitter hitting 10. Both these squads hitting 10 batters today. Not often that you see that. So now Sweeney getting his second start in 2025. The first pitch he throws misses upstairs for ball one. It's just the third time Michael Sweeney is stepping on the mound this season, as the 1-0 also misses high upstairs. He's got a 4.15 ERA in 4 1/3 innings of work. And he pitched back about a week and a half ago in the doubleheader against Saugerties as the 2-0 hits the outside half, even though it was dropped by the catcher Joe Haynes, so the count will improve to 2-1. Kaminsky usually finds himself a little bit lower down this Stallions lineup. He's hitting 239. He chops that one over towards short at Savoca. The throw over to first with Mueller is in time. And just like that, Sweeney makes it a quick out number one. Defensively for the Dragons, starting in the outfield. In the left, it's Aiden Gallagher, Tyree Jackson, and then James Houghton getting just his second start here in 2025. He's out and right. On the infield, Joe Carpier's, Gino Savoca, Tyler Figueroa, and Jackson Mueller. That's left to right around the infield. Joe Haynes, he gets the start behind the dish, and he corrals the first pitch to Anthony Frobos, which is upstairs for ball one. Again, Frobos' first game here this season for the Stallions. Out in Rutgers. How about a guy that knows how to play baseball at an elite level? Number 4 shortstop in the entire state of New York coming out of high school. Didn't play at all his freshman season, but a talented player to take over some of those missing pieces for the Stallions. The 2-1 from Sweeney misses outside, makes the count 3-1. The 3-1 pitch is swung on and missed. Frobos well out in front of it, makes it a full count for Sweeney. Sweeney making sure he uses quick work, not taking a whole lot of time to come set. The full count pitch is popped up weakly out into shallow center field. Savoca's going to call off everybody and bring it in for out number 2. So Gino Savoca being responsible for both of the outs to start the bottom of the first. And just like that, it brings up the first lefty of the day for Saugerties, the first baseman, Dylan Passo. I mentioned that different Saugerties lineup. How about no Travis Abenseevkin, no Jamie Z in this lineup as Passo takes the first pitch, lines it down the first base line. It gets all the way down into the corner. Passo's going to round towards first, and that one gets away from the right fielder, Houghton. He gets confused, looking for a sign from head coach Chris Martin, who doesn't let him know. And that misplay from James Houghton out in right field actually ended up keeping Dylan Passo at second. So not a great start to just your second game for James Houghton out in right. It goes down as a double for Dylan Passo, but he'll still get an error out in right. So now there's a 2-out runner in on second, with another lefty in the designated hitter, George Baker, at the dish. The first pitch he sees runs inside, misses for ball one. Baker got the neon yellow and the neon orange along the legs guard and the elbow guard. Very similar to the guy on deck, Logan Sanchez's patented yellow, as Baker takes that one, hits it hard off to the left-hand side over towards the Little League field. So Baker, another one of the newer members on this Stallion squad, playing just his third game this season. He's 1 for 4 so far. Got 2 strikeouts to his name, and he was hit in one of those 2 games. The 1-1 chopped straight behind home plate. So now Sweeney gets back on the mound quickly. hasn't really worried about Paso too much standing at second. First at bat that we've seen Sweeney working out of the stretch. Comes set, Savoca over there at second. The 1-2 swung on and missed. In the first strikeout in 2025 for Michael Sweeney. Ends the bottom of the first. It keeps it scoreless as we head to the second. We're back here at Cantine Field in Saugerties, New York. A no-run first inning brings up a 5, 6, and 7 spots in the Dragons lineup. The first pitch that Tyler Figueroa sees hits it down the third base line. It's in fan territory. The throw across the diamond is not in time. So Figueroa will stay there as the first baseman, Dylan Paso, had to come off the bag. Did an excellent job to keep it in front of him and actually make the catch. But Figueroa's first pitch swinging, and he's got himself a base knock, the first of the day for Glens Falls. So Joe Carpier's the third baseman will step in. He's the guy that played hero on Saturday. Hit a 2-run home run in the top of the ninth that barely snuck out here at Cantine, and it gave Glens Falls their 5-4 victory. A much-needed win for the Dragons. So Osmond back on the mound for his second inning of work. The 0-1 chopped foul makes it quickly an 0-2 count. Carpier's only hitting .220 so far this season. And 2 of his 4 RBIs, they were on Saturday in that 2-run home run. They're going to go quickly check on Figueroa at first. He gets back in there easily. Osmond shakes off the first 2 pitches he sees, finally gets one he likes, and comes set. The 0-2 is chopped weakly off to the left side. In comes the third baseman. He flips it over towards Paso at first and easily gets that first out of the top of the second. So Figueroa will advance to second on the throw from Kaminsky to Paso. But now the Dragons have got a runner in scoring position with only 1 out here in the top of the second. The first pitch now to Robert Mello is hit out into right field. Fry tag goes over towards his right. He brings it in for out number 2. The tag from Figueroa over to third. He'll get in there easily. And now 2 swings has moved the runner from first to third, but also added 2 outs to the board. And Glens Falls has got an opportunity they need to attack on. When the Dragons strike within these first 3 innings and they maintain a lead, they're extremely successful at keeping that lead throughout the entirety of their game. And the back end of Glens Falls' bullpen has been extremely successful in 2025. When they have to play from behind, they try to get too fancy on the mound and dig themselves early holes. The first pitch to Jackson Mueller tries to swing at a pitch at his neck, but holds back just in time for ball one. Mueller so far this year, he's got 4 doubles. That leads the Dragons as he takes that pitch that's foul down the third base line. One hops over towards the Stallions bullpen, and Mueller was about 4 feet to the left of the line and what would have been double number 5. Instead, he steps back in for the 1-1 pitch. The 1-1. Takes a big cut at that one that's low. Makes it 1-2. And a big problem for Glens Falls has consistently been capitalizing on opportunities like this. Another chance, back-to-back innings, with a runner standing just 90 feet from home. The 1-2 pitch is upstairs. Evens the count at 2 apiece. Back when these two teams met on Saturday, it was 12 batters left on. The 2-2, Mueller swings right over top of it and comes up empty-handed. So just like that, Keller Osmond picks up his first strikeout of the day, and he ends the top of the second. It's still scoreless here at Canton. The bottom of the second, set to take away here at Canton Field in Saugerties, New York. Very similar to how the top of the second went. It'll be 5, 6, and 7 for the Stallions, led off by their man behind the plate, the catcher Logan Sanchez. Sanchez hitting .289 so far this year. He watches the first pitch right down Broadway. And Sanchez so far this season's consistently been in that kind of middle of the order spot. But last time these two teams faced off, he had a lot of weak contact, went 0 for 4 the strikeout, and popped out a couple times to the infield. The 1-1 pitch to Sanchez, he almost went around, but held up just in time to make the count 2 balls, 1 strike. Sanchez got that patented yellow arm sleeve, yellow batting gloves, yellow cleats. Usually we'll have a yellow arm guard and a yellow leg protector. Doesn't have them on this time up. So now the 3-1 to Sanchez is in there for strike 2. And Michael Sweeney has worked this one back full. So again, Sweeney gets that ball, steps right back on the mound, shakes the first pitch to deliver the payoff, and chops it foul back. Waiting in the wings behind Sanchez is the right fielder, John Freitag. Freitag still trying to get underway here in 2025. The 3-2 chopped foul again. This one over towards the Stallions dugout. Sanchez has even got 6 walks this year, 6 strikeouts as well. The 3-2 is outside for ball 4. Make it walk number 7 here in 2025. That puts the leadoff batter on for the Stallions and brings up that right fielder, John Freitag. Just the 4th game of the year for Freitag. And so far, he's only 2 for 11. That's a 182 batting average. But one of those 2 base knocks, it was a double. Add on what he did last Saturday, where he got that other hit. It was a base knock back in the 3rd inning. Freitag watches the first pitch in there for strike 1. Freitag doesn't have a walk so far this year, has 3 strikeouts to his name, however. As the 0-1 is chopped over towards the shortstop, Savoca. The flip to second gets 1. The throw to first does not get the second. So Savoca made the quick throw to get Sanchez at second. Freitag was able to beat out the throw to Mueller at first, though. And the Dragons will take that easily. Nothing changes. Just add an out to the board. And in steps the left fielder, Ryan King. Ryan King also not had a ton of action here in 2025. Watches the first pitch miss upstairs. It's his 8th game of work, where he's hitting 250s, 5 for 20. He's another guy that's pretty even. He's got 5 walks, 5 strikeouts this season. The 1-0, he takes a big cut at, goes around to even the count at 1 apiece. Sweeney ended the bottom of the 1st inning with his first strikeout this season. Took him 5 innings of work before he could finally get strikeout number 1. The 1-1 right down Broadway. It makes it a 1-2 count. So now just like that, Sweeney's got a chance at doubling up the strikeout total this season. He comes set. In the 1-2. They'll say he went around, and just like that, it's 2 strikeouts for Michael Sweeney. Got Ryan King on a check swing. And now, just like that, the Dragons, they might get out of that leadoff walk. So now in steps the other new guy, the second baseman, Mike Levinson. He watches the first pitch outside for a ball. Levinson has got a connection with Glens Falls Dragons head coach Ryan Dio. Both of them members of the Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute engineers. He chops that one along the right side into right field. Fielded cleanly by Howen out there. Gets it in quickly and moves the runners forward. So Freitag gets to second. And Levinson, his first at-bat, needs just 2 pitches before he gets his first base knock here in 2025. And you can understand why he does that. He hit .361 this past season over 40 games. So he knows how to hit the ball. Not a big extra base hit guy, but does just that. Advances the runners, and the Stallions have a chance with 1 in scoring position. Dylan Fitzsimmons now in the box. He watches the first pitch strike. Fitzsimmons, another guy just getting his 3rd start here this season. He's 1 for 8, but that 1 hit, a double. The 0-1 misses inside, evens the count at 1 apiece. The bad news for Fitzsimmons, 5 strikeouts to his name this season across just 2 games. We know he's going to swing quite often, and Sweeney can utilize that. The 1-1. Misses low and inside, makes the count 2-1. So Sweeney again coming set. It's Freitag on second. LeBenson on first. The 2-1. Misses upstairs. The back pick at first. A little bit of an off throw from Joe Haynes allows LeBenson to get back in with ease. So it was a good idea from the catcher, Joe Haynes, to try to back pick LeBenson, who was getting a little free over at first. Instead, now it's a 3-1 count for Sweeney. The pitch is lined out into left center field. Over goes Jackson, and it's going to one-hop off the wall. Freitag's going to come in with ease. LeBenson's going to come around, and he's going to beat the throw just like that. Saugerties strikes first. Fitzsimmons has a double, his first of the year, and Saugerties now leads it 2-0 here in the bottom of the second. An unfortunate piece of work for Glens Falls. Back-to-back hits with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second put Saugerties in front early. The first pitch to the extra hitter, Anthony Lino, is a breaking ball, which is in there for strike 1. So just like that, Saugerties is out on top. The 0-1 to Lino, hit weakly back towards the pitcher, but it was fouled off of Lino's leg. So it'll be an 0-2 count now for Michael Sweeney. And there was a leadoff walk from Logan Sanchez. It was kind of nullified by some good defense, and then Sweeney struck out a batter, had a runner on first with 2 outs. The LeBenson single, and then Fitzsimmons nailing that double out along the fence, pretty much in straightaway left center field. Brought home those 2 runners, and now the Dragons have got to work out of a deficit again. The 0-2 from Sweeney misses upstairs for ball 1. And Lino so far this year, hitless through his first 2 games, playing his third. He only had the 4 at-bats, but he does have 3 walks so far across those 2 games. The 1-2 to Lino. Swung on and missed. Haynes will apply the tag with ease. And it ends the suffering for Michael Sweeney on the mound. Glens Falls trails 2-0 as we enter the third, and the Dragons work out of a deficit once more. We're back here in Saugerties, New York. It's a 2-0 deficit for Glens Falls as we enter the top of the third. It'll be 9, 10, and 1 to lead it off for Glens Falls to try to work through this 2-run deficit. The first pitch from Keller Osmond to Joe Haynes is low for ball one. Haynes so far kind of been that platoon guy behind the dish, getting a little bit more playing time as of late, and rightfully so. How about a .381 batting average with a double to his name and only 3 strikeouts across 7 games started? He's only got 1 walk to his name, but he's quickly worked himself to a 3-0 count. Osmond coming set. The 3-0. Hits the inside half. A very similar situation for Glens Falls to how Saturday panned out for the Dragons. The 3-1 to Haynes is chopped up the middle, and it's going to get through for a base knock. So Haynes, who's been hot, who's controlled behind the plate, picks up hit number 9 here in 2025 and is a leadoff base runner for the Dragons to bring up the 10-hole hitter, James Houghton. Houghton, again, just starting his second game, had a mistake out in right field. Luckily, it didn't punish the Dragons too much back in the first. Houghton watches the first pitch hit the outside. He's had just 2 at-bats across 3 games. Came in as a pinch hitter a couple times. Was hit once, has struck out twice. The 0-1 that he sees misses upstairs. Osmond not really liking what the catcher Sanchez is throwing down. Finally agrees on one. They go check on Haynes at first. He gets back in there with ease. This is an interesting kind of stretch that Glens Falls has gone through. They really struggled to get off early against Saugerties, but make it a game late. Houghton chops that one up the middle. The second baseman, Lebenson, tries to pick it, but he can't come up with it. So a defensive mishap from the new guy, Mike Lebenson, allows another single for James Houghton. His first base hit here in 20. Oh, they're going to call it an error. Rough time for James Houghton. He'll actually reach via the E4, but does the job nonetheless. Moves the runners to put 2 on 1 in scoring position with the top of the lineup and an aggressive Tyree Jackson. He squares the bunt, watches the ball bounce in the dirt for ball 1. You know the speed that Jackson has, so you'll see the defensive adjustments for this Stallions squad. It'll be the first baseman, Dylan Passo, who's going to come in to try to protect the bunt down the first base line. But you also see the third baseman, Casey Kaminsky, playing along the grass. The 1-0, he squares the bunt, gets it down the third base line. Off comes the pitcher. The throw over to first is in time to get Jackson, but moves the runners over 90 feet. So Osmond made a stellar play to grab Tyree Jackson, but not before both runners could reach safely. And just like that, Glens Falls has got the middle part of their lineup up with 2 runners in scoring position. A prime opportunity the Dragons can't collapse on. Back in the Saturday game, 8 of the 9 innings Glens Falls left a runner on. And they did win that game. They won it 5-4. But to have runners left on base 8 of the 9 frames, and it was a lot of frames at that too. 11 runners were left on base. Could have been a blowout for Glens Falls. Instead, too many stranded. The 1-0 to Trent Jinks is popped up. This one's out into shallow center field. In comes Fitzsimmons. He brings it in, and neither of the runners are going to tag. So a weak fly out for Trent Jinks makes it out number 2. And now the Dragons are in danger of stranding 2 more runners on. Glens Falls has already left 3 runners on the bases through the first 2 frames. They hand the ball over to Aiden Gallagher, a guy who knows how to bring runners in to try to keep that streak and break it. The first pitch he sees misses outside for ball 1. Gallagher reached via an error of the center fielder Fitzsimmons his last time up. The 1-0 also misses outside for ball 2. There is a free bag open, so if Keller Osmond did wish to try to face the lefty Gino Savoca, he doesn't need to necessarily attack Gallagher here. The 2-0 is lined into center field, gets down for a base knock. In comes Haynes. He's going to score easily. Houghton's toward the plate. The throw, not in time. It's a tie ball game here at Cantine. Aiden Gallagher comes up clutch, sends a base knock into center field, picks up RBIs 10 and 11. And it's a tie ball game once more. It's 2-2 here in the top of the third. So in steps the cleanup hitter in Gino Savoca. And maybe it would have been a good idea to put Gallagher on. Instead, he hits one in, keeps a couple of those runners from getting stranded. And Savoca, he flew out to right field, had a pretty good hit ball that was hit out there. As that one's bounced in the dirt, gets away from Sanchez. Gallagher on the throw to second, gets in there with ease. So he'll advance into scoring position on the wild pitch. And now Savoca's got a runner in scoring position himself. Would love to trade places with him. Savoca's 6 RBIs on the team. That's tied with a bunch of guys for second. The only person that's ahead of him, well, he stands out on second. It's Aiden Gallagher. He's now got 11. The first guy to reach double digits for Glens Falls this season. Count evens at 1 apiece to Gino Savoca. Gallagher was actually the third out in the top of the first after reaching base. Got stranded, so he's trying not to do that again. The 1-1 to Savoca bounced in the dirt. Sanchez does a much better job of keeping this one in front and close to him. So Osmond in his third inning of work, getting hit around a little bit. And it's almost every time that Osmond faces this Dragon squad, he gets touched up just a tad, not too often, before another Stallion comes into pitch. The 2-1 from Savoca's hit a mile high along the first baseline. Out goes the second baseman, LeBenson. He gets into shallow right field to bring the ball in over his shoulder. Savoca kind of claps in a little bit of anger, but not before Glens Falls ties this game. It's now 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the third. It's a tie ball game once again here in Saugerties, New York. 2-2 is the score between Glens Falls and Saugerties, with Michael Sweeney stepping back on the mound for his third inning of work. He's got to face the top of this Saugerties lineup for the second time through. And now there's a conversation. Head coach Ryan Dio has come out to the home plate circle with directing kind of home plate umpire Steve Kornberg over towards the corner of this Stallions dugout. Can't quite exactly see what he was talking about, what he was upset with, maybe some players standing out of the dugout. And so now we see Ryan Dio coming all the way over here. Walks right behind the home plate umpire Kornberg, and now he's going out. Well, maybe the conversation regarding the gate ends up being one of his players. It's the left fielder, Aiden Gallagher, who went the long way around. Maybe he had to go stop in the restroom, came around, finally goes to take his spot out in left field. So we've got an even matchup between two teams that seem evenly matched here in 2025. As the first pitch from Sweeney in to the leadoff hitter, Casey Kaminsky, is upstairs for ball one. Mentioned it a little bit earlier. It was Saugerties really looking like they were going to impose their dominance again. Started the season 2-0 against the Dragons as Kaminsky chops that one over towards the third baseman, Carpier's. Gets it on a pick. The throw over to Mueller is not in time. Gets away from the first baseman, goes all the way to the backstop. Haynes is there to back it up, but it doesn't matter. A big error from the third baseman, Joe Carpier's. Puts a runner on second for the Stallions, and not what you need after earning those 2 runs back. So Kaminsky would have reached before the throw, but they're actually going to say it was just an error, an E5 the whole way. So no hit for Kaminsky here today, but that brings in the new guy, Anthony Frobos. He popped out towards Savoca his first time up. He takes a big cut at the first pitch and comes up empty-handed. So a big-time error from the third baseman, Joe Carpier's. That's been really the hot corner for Glens Falls all season. Sweeney checks at second. The 0-1 chopped over towards Carpier's. It gets right past his glove. Gallagher comes up in left, and instead they're going to hold the runner at third. So now with nobody out, Anthony Frobos picks up his first hit here this season and puts runners on the corners. So now brings up the lefty first baseman, Dylan Passo. And this is this middle part of the Stallions lineup that's aggressive, not afraid to swing away, swing large, aim for the fence. And it's a lineup that's missing a slugger in Travis Abensiefkin. The first pitch to Passo is fouled straight back. So after the Dragons prevented a couple of runners from getting stranded, made this a tie game once more, it's now a spot with 2 runners on and nobody out here in the bottom of the third. The 0-1 just missed from Sweeney to Passo. Passo had that loud double in the first inning. Could not come around to score. Frobos is off on the first pitch. No throw. And he'll pick up his first stolen base this season. Puts himself into scoring position. And now it's a big-time opportunity for the first baseman, Dylan Passo. The 2-1 from Sweeney. That one's fouled off straight over our broadcast booth and well out of play. That'll even the count at 2 apiece. So Sweeney gets the side, comes set, takes a look at the runners. The 2-2 is hit weakly on the ground over towards Savoca at short. He gets the runner at first. One run will come home and score, but also Frobos will advance to third. So it's a sacrifice from Dylan Passo on a weakly hit ball to Gino Savoca at first. That brings in the go-ahead run in Casey Kaminsky. Frobos advanced to third, and now there's only one out with a runner 90 feet from home in the big slugger in George Baker. And while Baker has had some limited at-bats so far this season for the Stallions, a guy that throws caution to the wind with his swings as he watches the first pitch almost nail him for ball one. Baker, in that first at-bat, even though he went down swinging, every pitch that he swung at, you could feel the breeze up here as he chops that one hard foul towards the right-hand side. So again, it's Frobos standing on third with only one down here in the bottom of the third. Sweeney didn't like that first pitch he saw. The 1-1, this one's popped up, out into deep right field. Back goes Haw, and at the warning track, at the fence, he jumps to bring it in for out number 2. Frobos will come in to score easily. And James Houghton saved the extra bases along the wall. Kept it where it's at, but the Stallions strike again. They make it a 2-run game once more with 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. So Logan Sanchez will step into the box. The first pitch that he sees is in the dirt for ball 1. And this looks like the Saugerties team that came up to Eastfield on opening day. Team that one hit turns into 6, and the next thing you know, they're punishing you for runs. It's already 4 runs through 2 2/3 here at Cantine Field, and it feels like Saugerties is playing for more. The 2-0 to Logan Sanchez is in there for strike 1. The good news for Glens Falls is that the offense has been clicking as of late. The bats have come hot, and they leave a lot of runners on, but they give themselves those spots. The 2-1 is well out in front from Sanchez to even it at 2 apiece. There's some movement out in the Dragons bullpen. So you imagine the last inning for the starter, Michael Sweeting. The 2-2 misses low. That'll make the count full. The 3-2 is swung on and missed. Haynes did a good job to keep it in his glove, and just like that, it's out number 3. But the Stallions add on 2 more. They now lead it 4-2 through 3 innings of work here at Cantine. Saugerties struck back. They lead it now 4-2 here at Cantine Field in Saugerties, New York. I'm Nathaniel Cunningham, taking you through the matchup between these East Division rivals. A tied series matchup through 2025 so far. It's 3 games Glens Falls, 3 games Saugerties. Each team wants to pick up that victory that would put them ahead. It'll be Tyler Figueroa to lead off the top of the 4th. He fouls off the first pitch straight back. Keller Osmond back out on the mound for his 4th inning of work. We didn't see much movement out in Saugerties' bullpen. Finally see some guys stepping up to stretch as the 0-1 almost nails Figueroa. Well, Osmond so far has looked pretty stellar as the 1-1 to Figueroa misses outside, makes the count 2-1. Figueroa led off the 2nd inning as well, but it was the 3rd where Glens Falls put those 2 runs back on to tie the game. The 2-1 to Figueroa is hit hard, foul though, off to the left-hand side. And Figueroa started that top of the 2nd with a base knock. Ended up getting stranded at 2nd. And even with 2 runs coming home to score in the 3rd, there was still a runner that was stranded, and Figueroa takes a big cut over that 2-2 pitch for strike 3. So it's the 2nd strikeout for Keller Osmond. That picks up the 1st out here on the top of the 4th and brings up the 3rd baseman, Joe Carpier's. Carpier's grounded out to 3rd his last time up. Advanced Figueroa over towards 2nd beforehand. As the first pitch Carpier sees is along the outside corner for strike 1. So Osmond comes set. The 0-1 is swung on and missed, and you can see Carpier's disgust was to why he swung at it. The world, they may never know. It's an 0-2 count now to the 3rd baseman, Joe Carpier's. So Osmond coming set once again. The 0-2 swung on and missed. Keller Osmond is gearing back to get everything. It's back-to-back Ks here in the top of the 4th. So now in steps the extra hitter, Robert Mella. The first pitch to Mello is chopped on the ground over towards the shorts, or the 2nd baseman, LeBenson. He throws over to Paso at first, and it's a 1-2-3 inning in the top of the 4th. Keller Osmond has kept it efficient. And the Stallions, they might only need 2 runs. Their pitching is keeping it stellar here in Saugerties. We're back in Saugerties, New York, in a 4-2 game where the Stallions lead the Dragons. Michael Sweeney, the starter for Glens Falls, his day has come to an end. After 3 innings of work, he gave up 5 hits, allowed 4 runs, all of them earned. Walked 1 and struck 4. Taken over on the mound, out of the bullpen, is Andrew Gabriel. Gabriel so far getting his first bit of action since Thursday loss to Boonville. The first pitch he throws is in there for strike 1. He's got to face the middle part of this Stallions lineup. It's 6, 7, and 8. John Freitag to lead it off. Freitag reached via a fielder's choice. Almost a double play turn from Savoca to Figueroa and then a Mueller. Freitag, though, got a little bit of speed. Was able to beat down the play along the back. The 1-1, the breaking ball. Tried to get it in there, but was unsuccessful to make it a 2-1 count. Gabriel is playing his 5th game so far this season. Has not got a start. All of his action out of the bullpen, where he's got a 4.5 ERA in 6 innings of work. Has given up 3 earned runs, but he gets hit around a little bit as that one is lined over to Savoca, who picks it at short. The throw to Mueller almost is offline. Gets away from the first baseman. And just like that, Freitag will reach safely. So Savoca made an excellent defensive nab over at short on a hard hit ball. Picked it out the dirt, but couldn't deliver the throw to Mueller at first. And Freitag will reach via the E6. And those are the type of plays for Glens Falls that have really hurt them so far this year. Because it was an error to start the 3rd inning that allowed those 2 runs to score and give Saugerties that 2-run lead back. Now the first pitch to Ryan King gets behind Haynes, the catcher, and allows Freitag to each second easily. So now, what in theory should have been the first out and then a 1-0 count, instead is put a runner on second with nobody out. So Ryan King up at the plate, who's got that runner in scoring position and is in a hitter's friendly account. Gabriel getting the sign and coming set. The 1-0. Runs inside and nails King in the back. So just like that, King will reach via the hit by pitch. And now it looks eerily similar to how the 3rd did. Back in the bottom of the 3rd, Casey Kaminsky reached via the E5. Then a single from Anthony Frobos put runners on 1st and 2nd. Next thing you know, a sacrifice moved them over. And then a sacrifice fly scored 1. And another base knock scored the other. So a rough little stretch that looks eerily similar to the bottom of the 3rd here in the bottom of the 4th. It's Mike LeBenson who steps in. He had his first base hit here this season as the first pitch he sees is well upstairs. LeBenson also came around to score back in that 2nd inning. He was the 2nd run to come across in the frame. As the pitcher, Andrew Gabriel, not a big fan of the baseball, is going to ask for another one. They're actually going to ask for some rosin just to get some of that sweat off the hand. You see a nice puff of cloud as he went and he grabbed that one. So trying to just get a little bit of extra grip on the ball. It is a nice sweaty day here in Saugerties. It's very humid and still sitting around that 80, 85 degree marker here in this mid portion of New York. The 1-0 pitch. Maybe that rosin helped because it hit the zone for strike 1. So he's got, it's Freitag over at 2nd. King stands over at first. LeBenson, who's 1-for-1 today in the box, the 1-1 he sees gets away from Haynes for ball 2. The 2-1 is lined down the third base line. It's picked by Carpier's. He touches the bag for 1 out. The throw over the diamond is in time for 2. So Joe Carpier's rights some wrongs, erases that error from an earlier frame, and himself is responsible for 2 outs. And that's got to be a confidence builder if you're Andrew Gabriel. The defense steps up big time. Carpier's picked it off the dirt, stepped on third for the 5 unassisted to stop Freitag from advancing, and then threw over on the 5-3 to get LeBenson. The first pitch now to the center fielder, Dylan Fitzsimmons, is outside for ball 1. King did advance to second on the play, though, so there's still a runner in scoring position with 2 outs, as the 1-0 is in there for strike 1. The 2-out rally is when Saugerties really scored some runs back in the second. They had 2 outs with a runner on first, and then a single and a double scored 2. The 1-1 is in there for strike 2. And now Andrew Gabriel, after starting the inning, having a runner reach via an error and then hitting another batter, is 1 pitch away from getting out of it. Gabriel doesn't like the first sign he sees. He agrees upon the second one. Comes set for the 1-2. The pitch bounced in the dirt. Haynes did a great job at picking it. Almost thought about trying to go and get King at second, but a little too far away, so he'll keep it in the back pocket. Gabriel, this time he likes the first pitch he sees. The 2-2 is a curveball hit over onto the ground, corralled by Figueroa at second. The throw to Mueller at first is in time. Tyler Figueroa makes an excellent play in shallow right field. Going backwards, makes a throw on the money to Jackson Mueller at first. And the Dragons, they keep the score where it's at. Hand the ball over to their bats, who can hopefully score some more offense and make this a close game as we head to the 5th. It's the top of the 5th here at Cantine Field in Saugerties, New York. Glens Falls trails Saugerties 4-2. Here as we're about to enter the halfway point. The Dragons, they usually trail against this Stallion squad, but it's late in the game when they come back to make it a contest. Jackson Mueller, the 8-hole hitter, will start off the top of the 5th. He watches the first pitch in the dirt for a ball. Keller Osmond back on the mound for the Stallions. He's getting his 5th inning of work. The 1-0 that he sees runs inside to Mueller for ball 2. So far today, Osmond's given up 2 runs. Only one of them was earned. He's allowed 3 hits, and he stranded 4 runners on base. So Mueller went down swinging back in the second. That ended the top of the second frame. The 3-0 is inside to Jackson Mueller, and it's a 4-pitch walk for Keller Osmond. So you wonder how much more is in the gas tank for the starter from Saugerties. As we finally see some actual true movement for the Stallions in their bullpen. They've got, looks to be another righty warming up for Saugerties. So Mueller waltzes his way down to first and brings in Joe Haynes at the plate. He watches the first pitch low for ball one. Haynes had a leadoff single back in the third, came around to score, was the first run to touch home for the Dragons today. This is the 1-0. He lines out into right field. Got Freitag going back towards his right, but he settles underneath it easily for out number one. Gets it in quickly to keep Mueller at first. And it's a loud out for Joe Haynes, but a much-needed out if you're Keller Osmond. So now the right fielder and 10-hole hitter, James Houghton, steps to the plate. He almost had his first base knock of the game, or of the season, excuse me, back in the third, but it was called an error on the second baseman, Lebenson. So the first pitch that he sees, he chops it foul, out of play, over towards the parking lot for strike one. A little different than East Field here, our broadcast booth well in play of some of these foul balls. You gotta be careful with anything hit back over towards the left-hand side. The 0-1 is chopped on the ground over toward Lebenson at second. He flips to short to get one. No throw over at first with Houghton absolutely tearing it down the first baseline. So the lead runner in Jackson Mueller is out on the flip from Lebenson to Fabose. And now the top of the lineup turns over. It's Tyree Jackson who steps up. Jackson, he's only 0 for 1 today. Had a sacrifice bunt back in the third that moved runners over that would eventually come around to score. Jackson, we know he's aggressive often and early, trying to swing at that first pitch, but tries to hold back, not held back in time. So now Osmond comes set. The 0-1, a slide step from Osmond. They're concerned about Houghton's speed over there on first. Makes it a 1-1 count. Not a lot of action for James Houghton on the base pass, so we haven't seen a stolen base attempt from him so far this season. And Houghton with a nice lead. It forces Osmond to go check on him. And Houghton gets back just in time. What could be a really killer 1-2 combo for the Dragons. Houghton definitely has got some speed on the bases. We know Tyree Jackson has got some. The 1-1 bounced in the dirt. Sanchez does an excellent job at backpicking it to keep it in front and makes it a 2-1 count. So Osmond again coming set, taking a long look at Houghton. The 2-1 to Tyree Jackson. It's chopped along the third base line, but it's just foul of the third base bag. Barely kicked to the left of the actual bag on the third base line. It'll even the count at 2 apiece. So now the count is even at 2 apiece. All's been one pitch away from getting through 5 innings of work. Would pick up the decision as the 2-2 is swung on and missed. Jackson goes down swinging, and Osmond goes through 5 innings of work. He is shoving here in Saugerties, trying to give the Stallions a much-needed win here at home. It's the bottom of the 5th here at Cantine Field. It's still a 4-2 game in favor of Saugerties. And the Dragons, they're just trying to keep it where it's at so their offense can eventually work back into it. Glens Falls is a team that if they can keep it close, the last 3 innings, 7, 8, and 9, anything can happen. The Dragons can make it interesting. And that you can saw it all the way back in the game again on Saturday, where it was crazy. Pitcher was dueled through the first couple, and then it was just offensive explosion in 7, 8, and 9. So Andrew Gabriel, he's back out there on the mound. The first pitch that he throws to Anthony Lino is upstairs. The second pitch chopped back towards Gabriel, who takes a couple steps and flips over to Mueller at first for out number 1. So it's something that Glens Falls looks to keep solid is their pitching and defense. They do have 2 errors today. And Sweeney, maybe not the best performance, but only walked 1, something that Glens Falls has really struggled with early on in this season. As the first pitch to Kaminsky's chopped over to Carpier's at third. The throw to first is in time, and it's very quickly 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. And the Dragons defensively have taken a major step up. But pitching-wise, at times you'll see the free passes rack up. You'll see a couple of errors rack up. And next thing you know, it's a 10-run game, similar to how the Boonville game on Tuesday at Eastfield went. Today, it's really been Saugerties' offense having to outdo what the defense or the Saugerties offense really just striking at the right time. The 1-0 pitch now to Anthony Frobos is fouled off. Well out of play. Frobos so far today, he's 1 for 2. Had a single back in the third, a stolen base, and then came around to score. So a little bit of everything for Frobos in his first game this season in the PGCBL. The 1-1 is a breaking ball that's too far outside. The 2-1. Another breaking ball almost runs in and hit Frobos. Haynes tried to frame it like it was on that inside corner. Instead, the count becomes 3-1. Frobos, a Rutgers guy, didn't play at all last season, so trying to get some more experience after having the time off the past year. The 3-1 bounced in the dirt to Frobos, makes it a 5-pitch walk with 2 outs from Andrew Gabriel. So now Frobos has got a little bit of everything on the tenure. He's made a couple of defensive plays. He's got a single, a walk to his name, a stolen base, a run scored. Frobos really trying to fill up the stat sheet. So in comes the 3-hole hitter on a lefty, Dylan Passo. The first pitch that Gabriel throws is outside for ball 1. Passo's 1 for 1 today. He had a big double back in the first, but couldn't come around to score. Had to sacrifice himself, though, in the third. That came around to score 1 on a ground ball. It also advanced at the time Anthony Frobos over towards third, he would then score after George Baker sacrifice flew out to right field. The 2-0 is in there for strike 1. So Gabriel, again, quick to get back on the mound. The 2-1 pitch sees Frobos on the move. That pitch is hit out to center field. Jackson goes back at the warning track, and he brings it in. It was a loud out number 3 from Dylan Passo, who hit it just shy of a home run. But Tyree Jackson, with his wheels, was able to bring it in to keep it clean. It stayed a 2-run game here as we enter the 6th at Cantine Field. We're back for the 6th inning here at Cantine Field. It's a 2-run ball game with Saugerties out in front, 4-2. I'm Nathaniel Cunningham, taking you through all the matchup of this East Division rivalry. That's split at 3 games apiece here in 2025. Keller Osmond, the starter for the Stallions. His day has come to an end. After 5 innings of work, he only gave up 3 hits, allowed 2 runs, both of which were earned. Walked 2 and struck out 4. Taking over for him on the mound is another right-handed arm. It'll be John Ryder, and one of the guys that's struggled a little bit in his work so far this season. He's got an 18 ERA in 4 appearances. He's only pitched 4 innings where he's given up 9 runs. 8 of them were earned. But he's really struggled with the command. He's allowed 9 walks and only 5 strikeouts. Has 6 hits as well. So if there's a time for Glens Falls to strike, it would be now against the guy who has struggled to find the zone. The Dragons need to be patient. It's 2, 3, and 4 for Glens Falls here in the top of the 6th. Led off by Trent Jenks. The first pitch he sees is in the dirt, gets away from Sanchez for ball 1. Jenks so far today, 0 for 1, flew out to center in third, walked his first time at the plate back in the first. The 1-0 from Ryder, bounced in the dirt again, makes the count 2-0. You imagine how long the leash is for Ryder. It's really only been one pitcher that's had to go awry that's allowed Glens Falls to strike and grab a lead. The 2-0 bounced in the dirt for ball 3. Back on Saturday, it was Gregory Bruno who went an inning and a third and gave up 7 hits and 4 runs. The 3-0 now is in there for strike 1. And really, Gregory Bruno has been the guy that Glens Falls has kind of beat up on a ton so far this season. Back in the doubleheader about a week and a half ago, Bruno was the one who got tagged when Glens Falls won the first game 5-2. The 3-1 is lined into center field. Fitzsimmons barely has to move to his left. But after working into a 3-0 count, Trent Jenks lines to center field for out number 1. So now in steps the left fielder, Aiden Gallagher. He so far today is 1 for 2. He's got 2 RBIs to his name thanks to an RBI single back in the third. The first pitch he sees is low for ball 1. Gallagher drew a walk, reached via an error back in the first. And then ended up getting picked off at first. The 1-0 is chopped weakly off to the left side. Head coach Ryan Dio for the Dragons fields it cleanly, gets it back over towards the pitcher, Ryder. Dio normally, when he was a player, played behind the plate and clearly showing off that fielding prowess over at third. The 1-1 from Ryder is upstairs. Makes the count 2-1. The 2-1 from Ryder is in there for strike 2. Evens the count at 2 apiece. So now a guy that's struggled to find the zone. The Dragons work their way to an early and easy out number 1. Now potentially an early and easy out number 2. But the 2-2 misses too far inside to make it a full count. So now Ryder comes set. The payoff pitch is upstairs for ball 4. And that's the 10th walk of the year for John Ryder. That puts Aiden Gallagher on first. And brings up the cleanup hitter, Gino Savoca. Gino Savoca. He's 0 for 2 today. Flew out to right, popped up over towards right field, but it was brought in by the second baseman, Levinson. The first pitch Savoca sees is in there for strike one. Savoca's really been solidified in the cleanup spot, but not really had the 2025 to remember. Hitting just 195 as Gallagher is dancing over at first and forces Ryder to step off the pitcher's mound. The thing with Savoca is that despite what the numbers say, this is a guy that loves to hit in these late stages. Really been a spark plug for when the Dragons come back in games. You talk about what he did in that game when the Dragons came back to win 5-4. Well, he had the first base knock in the top of the ninth with one out and come around to score to make it a one-run game. He watches the 1-1 misses high for ball two. About a week ago against Oneonta, had a big base knock in the ninth inning that scored 2 runs and put the Dragons back on top. Gallagher's off on the pitch. Sanchez, the throw down, is in time, but the tag is not applied. So a great throw from the catcher, Logan Sanchez. Beat Aiden Gallagher by about half a step, but the left fielder was able to get his feet, on the bag beforehand. He picks up a stolen bag, his first of the day, and Savoca has worked himself to a 3-1 count. How about the 10th stolen base of the season for Aiden Gallagher? He leads all of Glens Falls. Ryder comes set. The 3-1 is in there for strike two. Savoca thought it was ball 4. Started to take the leg guard off, threw the bat behind him. So now all of a sudden, the count draws full. So now Savoca again. Couple times we've seen this, and Savoca's not afraid to do it. He'll ask the home plate umpire, today it's Steve Kornbach, where that pitch was, where did it miss? The payoff pitch, this one's well upstairs, up by his eyeballs. So now Savoca will happily waltz his way over towards first base after watching the payoff pitch upstairs. He was shaking his head towards first base coach Riley Orr, just kind of in frustration and upset. So he'll flip his batting gloves there, but back-to-back walks put runners on first and second with only one out here in the top of the 6th. Tyler Figueroa steps into the box now. He's 1 for 2 today. He's got a strikeout to his name. Watches the first pitch in the dirt for ball 1. There's more movement up for Saugerties. So you imagine the string for John Ryder not too high with Saugerties trying to keep this lead. The 1-0 pitch missed high for ball 2. Can't be much of a leash for a guy that has an 18 ERA in 4 appearances. And it's another righty warming for the Stallions. Ryder delivers the 2-0 pitch. That one in there for strike 1. It got away from Sanchez. Gallagher thought about going, but it was a little too late. Ended up staying at second. Ryder comes set for the 2-1. The pitch is in there for strike 2. Figueroa thought that might have been a little upstairs. Instead of a 3-1 count, we're now talking about a 2-2 count. There's one out here in the top of the 6. Runners on first and second. The pitch bounced in the dirt. Sanchez does a good job to keep it in front. And the second straight batter will reach full. So Ryder struggling to find the zone. The 3-2 pitch is chopped foul. Out of play along the right-hand side bleachers. Looked like Figueroa might have swung at ball 4 there. So gave another life to John Ryder as we get to the 7th pitch of the at-bat. The payoff from Ryder is swung on and missed. Figueroa was just underneath it. He goes down swinging. It's the first strikeout for John Ryder today. Picks up a big second out. And brings up the third baseman, Joe Carpieres. The first pitch to Carpieres is in there for strike 1. Carpieres not loving that one all too much. He's 0 for 2 today. He's got a strikeout to his name and a ground out as well. The arm that was warming for the Stallions has stopped. So now looks like Saugerties will happily hand it to their guy. The breaking ball misses low in the dirt for ball 1. They'll ask if he went around, but he did not. So Ryder, he needs 2 pitches to get out of the frame. He's got Gallagher standing at second, Savoca over at first. The 1-1 is hit on the ground over towards Kaminsky and gets underneath his glove at third. They're going to send Gallagher to the plate. The throw is high, and Gallagher scores with ease. Savoca will reach third, and Ryder did a good job to back up home because that play got over the head of the catcher, Logan Sanchez. And if it got over the head of John Ryder, you imagine head coach Ryan Dio would have sent Savoca as well, and we'd be talking about a tie ball game. Instead, it's an RBI single for Joe Carpieres that brings in 1 and puts runners on the corners. So now another lefty, and Robert Mello steps to the dish. He's 0 for 2 in today's game. He's got a ground out and a fly out to right. The first pitch he sees runs inside for ball 1. A key opportunity the Dragons have got to capitalize on. So far, it's been 5 runners left on base today, an issue that's plagued them all season. The 1-0 hit on the ground past the first baseman. It'll get down for a base knot. Savoca scores with ease. Carpieres advances to third. And it's back-to-back base knocks with 2 outs. We've got a tie ball game again. A righty put one just past the third baseman. The lefty steps up and puts one right past the first baseman. We've got a tie ball game one more time here at Canty. And these two teams, they love to go back and forth. They're doing it again here in Saugerties. In steps the big first baseman, Jackson Mueller. He'd love to add a couple more, give Glens Falls their first lead of the day. Watches the first pitch strike at the top of the zone. Mueller so far today just 0 for 1, struck out back in the second, walked in the 5th, and was stranded on bases. Take a big cut there. Just got underneath it and fouled it straight back, so he's quickly in an 0-2 count. Mueller known for the big doubles that he produces. Those 4 doubles that he has this season that leads Glens Falls. He's only got 5 RBIs to his name, so hasn't been up in opportunities to bring runs home, but is in one now. The 0-2 from Ryder is swung on and missed. Got Mueller well out in front for out number 3. But the Dragons, they've evened this game. It's 4-4 as we enter the bottom of the 6th. It's a brand new baseball game with 3.5 innings to go here in Saugerties. The Dragons, they put up 2 more runs. They continue this stretch of 6th inning streaks. Put up 2 more in the top of the 6th. Tie this game at 4 apiece. Andrew Gabriel, he steps back out there for his 3rd inning of work. He's got to face a pretty tough part of the lineup in 4, 5, and 6, really led by the big slugger of George Baker. The first pitch that he sees is low for ball 1. Baker so far, he's 0 for 1. Got an RBI to his name because he sacrificed fly, flew out to right field back in the 3rd, but he went down swinging in the 1st. The 1-0 is low for ball 2. Gabriel, the 2-0, takes a big cut from Baker. And that's the way that the designated hitter likes to swing. It's all him or nothing. And he's got proof back in that 1st inning, just a couple of feet shy of a long ball. So he could get one out there as the breaking ball misses inside to make the count 3-1. Interesting to see what Baker and Abed-Siefkin would look like in this lineup as Baker takes another big cut at that one. Throw in Dylan Passo to the mix, and that's got to be a scary 3-man stretch to face of both size and pop, a lefty-righty lefty stretch. That could all burn you for some long balls if you're not careful. The payoff pitch is swung on and missed. Baker goes down swinging for the 2nd time today. Gabriel adds his first K today and picks up out number 1 here in the bottom of the 6th. So now in steps the catcher, Logan Sanchez. He so far today is only 0 for 1. Drew a walk but struck out as well. The first pitch that he sees bounces in the dirt for ball 1. And an opportunity for Glens Falls to keep it clean, let the offense get hot. Sanchez chops that one over to 3rd. Carpier's fields it cleanly. The throw to 1st is in time to get Sanchez. And it's an out number 2. Joe Carpier's, ever since that error that he had to lead off the 3rd, has been clean ever since. Played defensively excellent. And now it could be a 1-2-3 inning for Andrew Gabriel with John Freitag, the right fielder, to the dish. Freitag been very close to his first hit today. Instead, he's 0 for 2, reached via an error and a fielder's choice. So close, but no cigar. He watches the first pitch inside for ball 1. So Gabriel, instead of shaking his head, he tilts it to the right to signal a new one. The 1-0 is low. Makes it 2-0. And Gabriel, again, struggled a little bit with the humidity and the sweat. Asked for a rosin bag back in the 5th. It proved quite effective. Is touched back on that bag behind the pitcher's mound a couple times. The 2-0. This one bounces in the dirt. Makes it a 3-0 count. Waiting in the wings is the left fielder, Ryan King. Gabriel with a stoic motion kind of on the mound. Stands essentially straight up before coming set with the glove at the belt line. The 3-0 pitch is a breaking ball that's in there for strike 1. Freitag, the Villanova guys, throw the bat similar to how Gino Savoca did in the top half of the 6th. Was a little surprised at that call. Makes the count 3-1 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. The 3-1 from Gabriel is another breaking ball in there for a strike, too. So from 3-0 to 3-2, Andrew Gabriel has worked his way back. One pitch away for the Dragons to get the bats back at the plate. Freitag comes set. And Gabriel comes set. The 3-2 pitch. A breaking ball. This one bounced in the dirt. Gabriel trying to go to the well one too many times. Misses just a little bit low. And puts a 2-out base runner on to bring up that left fielder in Ryan King. King so far today, he's 0 for 1. Was hit with a pitch back in the 4th and struck out back in the 2nd, excuse me. So now we've got Freitag, who's got some wheels over at first. The first pitch from Gabriel is a breaking ball. That misses too far inside for ball 1. Freitag so far this season hasn't attempted a stolen bag. We don't know if he's got quite enough of that speed over there at first. The 1-0. Bounced in the dirt. Great pick from Joe Haynes behind the dish. Keeps it in front, makes the count 2-0. So Gabriel again. Instead of working out of the windup, this time works out of the stretch. The 2-0. Swung on and missed. A good pitch high in the zone to King. Gets him just underneath it. Makes the count 2-1. Gabriel has only got 1 strikeout so far through 2 2/3 as the 2-1 misses well upstairs. Makes the count 3-1. Gabriel, not necessarily known to strike people out. Only 5 strikeouts through 6 innings coming into today's contest as the 3-1 missed well upstairs for ball 4. So now the concern about the command from Andrew Gabriel. Walks 2 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Puts a couple of runners on with the new guy, Mike LeBenson, coming to the plate. Before he takes his first swing, out comes head pitching coach Matt Gonzalez. Will go have a conversation with Mike LeBenson. And there was no movement over for the Dragons in their bullpen. Finally, an arm has began up and throwing. Don't quite exactly know who it is, but it's a right-handed arm. Not many lefties for the Dragons. You see Gonzalez having a whole conversation with the middle of the infield, and he was really talking to the pitcher, Gabriel. And you saw the rest of the lineup, or the rest of the infield, just kind of huddled around while Gabriel was at the bottom and base back part of the mound. So again, it's Freitag over at second, King who stands over at first. Mike LeBenson is the guy that's at the dish so far. He's 1 for 2 today. Has a single back in the 2nd, grounded out in the 4th. Came around to score after that base knock in the 2nd. The first pitch he sees is outside for ball 1. The Dragons, they just need 1 out. Keep it where it's at. Allow the bats to do the work to gain the lead. The 1-0 is a breaking ball in there for strike 1. Andrew Gabriel has really gone to that well of the off-speed pitch, a plethora, and it's worked so far for the righty. Gabriel again comes set. The 1-1 pitch is a breaking ball. This one a little too low and bounces in the dirt. So a big opportunity for the Dragons. Strand a couple of runners, take momentum back their way. The Stallions have an opportunity to jump back in front after the Dragons tied this ball game. The 2-1 pitch is in there for strike 2. And now just like that, Glens Falls is 1 pitch away. There's no movement for Saugerties, so it looks like John Ryder, who struggled a little bit this season, will go back out there for another inning. The 2-2 is upstairs, draws the count full. LeBenson working a full count, really making Andrew Gabriel earn this final out here in the bottom of the 6th. The payoff pitch misses well upstairs for ball 4. And Andrew Gabriel has walked the bases loaded here in the bottom of the 6th. It's 3 straight walks to bring up the center fielder, Dylan Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons, he's the guy that got the scoring going in today's game. He had just 1 RBI coming into the day, but back in the 2nd, he had a 2 RBI double as he's first pitch swinging. That one comes foul and almost comes back into fair territory. And it's caught here by the Stallions dugout. But Fitzsimmons had that big blast that landed just shy of a homer, scored 2 runs, got the action going for Saugerties. The 0-1 pitch to Fitzsimmons is bounced in the dirt, gets away from Haynes behind the plate, and 1 run will score with both runners advancing. A wild pitch from Andrew Gabriel allows John Freitag to come home with ease. Ryan King comes home and scores. Mike LeBenson moves to 3rd. And it's a big-time error from Andrew Gabriel. Now the 1-1 from Gabriel is chopped over towards the first baseman Mueller. He grabs it, flips to the pitcher who's covering first, and brings it in for out number 3. The Stallions, though, they jump back out in front. They lead it 5-4 as we head to the 7th. Glens Falls, the offense, they've got to go. Welcome back to Kansine Field here in Saugerties, New York. Glens Falls trails Saugerties 5-4 as we enter the 7th inning. John Ryder, the relief pitcher for the Stallions, his day has come to an end. After just an inning, he gave up 2 hits and 2 runs, both of which were earned. He walked 2 and struck out 2. Taking over on the mound is Matthew Murtaugh. And the first pitch that he throws to Joe Haynes is chopped up the middle. It's grabbed by LeBenson. The throw back over towards first, not in time. Gets away from the first baseman, but luckily Sanchez was there to back it up and allows Haynes to reach safely on the E4. And instead, they're actually going to call it a base knock for Joe Haynes. So he gets a single to lead off the top of the 7th. And the Dragons, they need it if they want to try to come back into this one. So in steps the 10-hole hitter, James Houghton. He so far today's 0 for 2. He's first pitch swinging. That one almost came back towards the dome piece here in the broadcast booth. We're all sitting up here, and that one's hit on a missile back towards the broadcast booth. That one just missed over the top. We all kind of ducked up here. The entire Stallion staff, the Stallions broadcast a scary moment here as there's some dancing from Haynes over at first. He gets and slides back in safely with ease. So Matthew Murtaugh, the reliever for Saugerties, also not had a whole lot of action so far. Just his third appearance, and he's got an 8.22 ERA in 7 2/3 innings of work. The 0-1 pitch that he throws is in there for strike 2. Murtaugh, he hasn't pitched, or he pitched a couple of days ago, June 29th against Mohawk Valley, where he gave up 8 hits and 6 earned runs. That's really what has inflated his ERA to the 8.22 where it's at. Another check over at Haynes. At first, he gets back in there with ease. His first appearance was back on June 24th against Amsterdam in Amsterdam, where he pitched 4 innings, gave up just 4 hits, 1 run. So that was a pretty nice performance for what was been the starter, but it was really rough his last time out against Mohawk Valley. The 0-2 to Hahn. Bounced in the dirt. Sanchez does a good job to pick it and make it a 1-2 count. Behind James Houghton is the top of this Dragons lineup. Top part of the lineup that's kind of been dormant through today. They're just 1 for 6, the first 3 hitters are. The 1-2. Missed upstairs, evens the count at 2 apiece. Couple of walks through that top part of the lineup, though, and they have really been the people that formulated runs, scored batters, made this a game, and allowed the Dragons to kind of work back into it. And we certainly aren't out of this one yet. It's just a 1-run ball game here in the top of the 7th. The 2-2 pitch swung on and missed. Houghton not nearly in time. Goes down on strikes. The first K for Matthew Murtaugh. Brings up the top of the lineup in Tyree Jackson. He's 0 for 2 today, but had a sacrifice bunt back in the 3rd. Didn't have a run come home to score, but moved 2 runners over that would eventually come around in themselves. The first pitch to Jackson is fouled straight back for strike 1. Jackson is uber aggressive in the box. He is almost always looking to swing at the first pitch, especially to lead off the game. He will first pitch swing if you're going to try to get an early get-me-over fastball. He is not the guy to do it against. So Murtaugh comes set, takes a long look over at Haynes at first. The 0-1 is outside. Evens the count at 1 apiece. Haynes dancing over there at first. He does have a stolen bag to his name this season, but he was caught as well. Not taking the biggest lead off of first base. They're going to go check back on him as he dives back in with ease. Again, not a super big lead for the catcher over at first. Jackson with that patented teal. Almost looks like a torpedo bat. The 1-1 pitch is chopped foul straight behind home plate. Makes the count 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here with only 1 out in the top of the 7th. 1 runner is on. It's the top of the Dragons lineup. Saugerties struck once, thanks to 3 straight walks, and then a wild pitch from Andrew Gabriel brought home what right now stands as the winning run. The Dragons, they've got the tying run standing at first. The 1-2 is lined out into left field. A dive and an excellent play from Ryan King in left. Sticks out the glove, lays out full extension, and brings it in for out number 2. The Dragons get robbed of one. That one gets down and by the left fielder. There's a little bit of speed over at first, some speed on the at the plate. You could be looking at 1 run scored and a runner at third. Instead, you're looking at 2 outs with a runner standing at first. It's Trent Jinks, the designated hitter, who steps in now with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. The first pitch to Jinks is high for ball 1. Murtaugh is definitely taking his time on the mound. Often will take a couple of checks over at Haynes at first. Again, has got 1 stolen base, successful this season, has been caught once as well. So Murtaugh will come set, take his time. Deliver the 1-0. Misses upstairs for ball 2. Definitely concerned with Haynes' movement and a couple of dance steps over there at first. Murtaugh choosing to enlist the slide step, trying to get to home as quickly as possible. Make sure Haynes chooses not to try to grab an extra 90 feet. Jinks in the box, another long hold. The 2-0 gets away from the catcher, Sanchez, and Haynes will now take his 90 feet with ease. Jinks so far 0 for 2 on today's game. Did draw a walk back in the first, but he's had good contact. Flew out to center field. That one was at the warning track. He lined out, just couldn't get down back in the 6th. The best hitter for Glens Falls in a big-time spot. Wonder if the green light's on. The 3-0. He watches it right down the middle. So Jinks was told to hold up, see if Murtaugh could put it in the zone. Now he's got a prime opportunity. You got to love it or you let it go. It's Haynes who stands over at second. No one really holding him on. The 3-1. Fouled straight back. Looked like Jinks was in love with it, just a little too high up at his neck. Probably ball 4 for the designated hitter. Instead, the count is going to draw full. In a high leverage moment, Eric Cantine. So Matt Murtaugh, 1 pitch away from getting out of it. The Dragons, a base knock, ties this ball game. Murtaugh again takes his time, gets the sign, comes set, takes 1 long look back at second, has still not looked home. Now delivers the 3-2. It's swung on and missed. Murtaugh strands the runner at second, gets Trent Jinks swinging on strikes, and keeps his 1-run lead. Saugerties has got it 5-4 as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Saugerties has kept that one-run lead thanks to some excellent work from reliever Matthew Murtaugh. Had a lead-off base runner via a base hit. Instead, he stranded him on second. And struck out 2 in the process. Andrew Gabriel, his day has come to an end. After 3 innings of work, gave up 0 runs, allowed that 1 run to come home to score in the bottom of the 6th. Walked 4 and struck out 1. Taking over on the mound is Jake O'Connor, who so far this season has really kind of been hot and cold. At times has looked stellar, other times has struggled. He's got a 9.26 ERA and a 1-2 record. This is his 9th appearance. He's really not known to throw too long. He's got just 11 innings, and 2/3 innings of work. The first pitch that he throws to the extra hitter, Anthony Lino, is in there for strike 1. He's got to face 10, 1, and 2 in this Stallions lineup. As the 0-1 is a breaking ball in there for strike 2. The last time that O'Connor took the mound for the Dragons was against Boonville back on June 27th, when he gave up 4 earned in an innings of work. The 0-2 is lined out to center. Jackson comes in with his speed, and he'll settle underneath it easily. It was hit on a line pretty hard by the extra hitter, Anthony Lino. But Jackson, with his excellent speed in center, gets over to grab the line out for out number 1. So the top of the lineup steps up. It'll be Casey Kaminsky who steps to the dish. She's 0 for 3 today. Grounded out twice and reached via an error. Last time O'Connor faced the Saugerties Stallions was in that doubleheader where he actually started the game. And he looked good through the first 2 innings. It was in the 3rd inning where he gave up a couple of hits and allowed 6 runs to come home and score. That's what ended his day early. The 0-1 to Kaminsky's line to center. Jackson tries to dive, but he's got to pick it on a hop. So Jackson made an excellent defensive play, almost a highlight reel, but was still able to pick it on the hop to prevent extra bases from the leadoff hitter, Casey Kaminsky. So the third baseman gets his first hit of the day. He lands on first base. And now brings up the shortstop, Anthony Frobos. Frobos so far today, 1 for 2. Had a base knock back in the 3rd, drew a walk in the 5th. Has got a stolen base to his name as well. Scored a run. That was back on that single in the 3rd. He's made some defensive plays as well. Anthony Frobos having a little bit of each part of today. The first pitch that he sees is low for ball 1. And Kaminsky, who stands over at first, has got 8 stolen bases. That looks like nothing compared to Luis Rodriguez, who's no longer with the Stallions. He had a PGCBL best 23. He's on the move on the pitch. The throw from Haynes is in time. Joe Haynes with an excellent throw had Kaminsky caught by a couple of steps. An awkward slide from the third baseman and a great tag from the shortstop, Gino Savoca, strands that runner and makes it 2 outs here on the bottom of the 7th. First time this season Kaminsky's been caught on the base paths. And it's a big spot for the Dragons to keep it where it's at. O'Connor now has got a 2-1 count to Frobos. Can get out of this inning clean. O'Connor comes set. The 2-1 is lined out to deep left center field. Jackson goes back at the wall, leaps up, and it's over the fence. Anthony Frobos, his first game in the PGCBL, sends one to deep left center field, and you can kiss it goodbye. The Stallions, they make it a 2-run advantage. And Saugerties is rolling late. So the good news for Jake O'Connor, is that the defense made an excellent play, and now just like that, O'Connor's day is going to come to an end. Not often that you see just one big blast send Jake O'Connor out of here. So with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th, we'll get a new pitcher, and we'll step aside for just a couple of seconds. We're back at Cantine Field. Jake O'Connor gives up 3 hard-hit baseballs to the 10, 1, and 2-hole hitters in the Stallions lineup. And head coach Ryan Dio says, I've seen enough. The last one, the first home run for Anthony Frobos here in 2025. His first PGCBL extra base hit. A long ball that gives some insurance to the Stallions. Puts them up 6-4 here in the bottom of the 7th. Taking over on the mound will be the lefty, Aiden Newhall. He's got to face a lefty himself in Dylan Passo. And the first pitch runs inside and nails him. So maybe the run to the bullpen, not always the best for the Dragons. The first pitch from Newhall runs inside, nails Dylan Passo on the arm. And he'll waltz his way down to first. Luckily, in steps another lefty in George Baker. But the designated hitter has been very, very shallow of a couple of long balls today. So maybe a matchup move for head coach Ryan Dio after seeing O'Connor get tattooed by a couple of guys not wanting to run the risk righty to lefty to the middle part of this Stallions lineup. And it's lefty again for the pitcher Newhall. The first pitch he throws is upstairs to Baker. Newhall has got an 8.44 ERA across 4 appearances. Really hasn't pitched long in any of them. Just 5 1/3 inning so far this season. And his last time out was on June 29th as Baker chops that one straight foul back. Gets through the netting and into the protected seating area. And last time, again, we saw Newhall was against Boonville on June 29th, where he went just 2/3 of an innings, gave up 2 hits, and allowed a run. Did strike out 2, though, as Baker gets underneath this one, pops it up, out into shallow center field. Figueroa calls off Savoca, brings it in for out number 3, and that ends the damage. We head to the top of the 8th. The Dragons, they trail by 2 and have got some work to come back. There are 6 outs to go for the Dragons to get win number 1 here in July of 2025. Welcome back to Cantine Field in Saugerties, New York. I'm Nathaniel Cunningham, keeping you caught up to date with this East Division rivalry matchup between the Saugerties Stallions and the Glens Falls Dragons. It's currently 6-4 in favor of the Stallions. And they added that insurance run thanks to an Anthony Frobos home run to straightaway center. His first home run of 2025 in his first game this season in the PGCB. Yeah. So now the Dragons, they've got to come back, but this is the same deficit they had on Saturday when they entered the 9th inning. And game not over quite yet. It'll be 3, 4, and 5. Aiden Gallagher's first pitch swinging, fouls it straight back. It's Matthew Murtaugh back out on the mound for the Stallions. Gallagher so far today, he's 1 for 1. He's got 2 walks to his name, came around to score. He's got 2 RBIs as well. He watches the 0-1 miss inside. Sanchez struggled to keep that one in front, keep him held, so maybe a little bit extra from the home plate umpire to acknowledge that. The 1-1 to Gallagher. His miss is upstairs for ball 2. Saugerties' offense has really not stepped off the gas today. A team that looked very similar to how they did on opening day, but yet the composition of the squad's very different. The 2-1 to Gallagher is swung on. An off-speed pitch put on the outside half, gets Gallagher out in front, makes the count even at 2 apiece. While Saugerties' offense seems to be the same while being much different, Glens Falls light up relatively the same, the feeling though completely different. And these late game heroics, can they happen once more? The 2-2 lined over towards the first baseman, and it gets underneath the glove of Passo. Gallagher, who hit first running, going towards second, he gets in there easily. It's a leadoff double for Aiden Gallagher as the ball got right through the 5-hole of Dylan Passo over at first. So a big-time spot for the Dragons. They need to capitalize. They've got a runner just sitting in scoring position in Gino Savoca at the plate. So instead, they call that an error, an E1, or an E3, excuse me. That means that Gallagher reaches on just the error. Savoca took a massive cut. Comes up empty-handed, though. So Savoca at the box now. He's 0 for 2 today. He's got a couple of pop-outs, or a pop-out, a fly-out, and draw a walk where he came around to score. The 0-1. Bounced in the dirt. Sanchez does a good job. It gets away from him, though, and that'll swing Gallagher over towards third. So now a bounced ball that got away from the catcher, Logan Sanchez. Gino Savoca did a good job to signal the runner over. And now the count's going to even at 1 apiece. Put a runner 90 feet from home. And Savoca has got a clutch time opportunity. These are the spots where the big-time shortstop loves to live. Hitless in today's game. When he was hitless in Saturday's game, that's when he stepped up big, is the 1-1 miss. And it's the inside corner for strike 2. To remind you of that game, he was 0 for 3 coming into it. And then in the 9th, had a one-out single that started a 3-run rally in the top of the 9th. That gave Glens Falls the lead to win. The 1-2 from Murtaugh is outside for ball 2. Murtaugh entering his second inning of work. Not gone a whole ton so far of time in both of his appearances here in 2025. The 2-2 to Savoca is popped up a mile high. This one will get out of play over the top of our broadcast booth and over towards the parking lot. So again, it's Gallagher who stands just 90 feet away from home. It's a 2-2 count to Savoca. The pitch from Murtaugh is in there for strike 3. Savoca not happy. Has a couple of words for the home plate umpire, Stu Kornberg. But he'll walk back to the dugout after Murtaugh picks up his 3rd strikeout and a much-needed one for Saugerties. So Tyler Figueroa steps to the dish. He's 1 for 3 with a single and 2 Ks to his name. He watches the first pitch in there for strike 1. And Glens Falls again having that problem of runners left on base. They stranded 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, another in the 5th, 2 more in the 6th, and then 1 in the 7th. The 0-1 hits the top part of the zone, makes it an 0-2 count. All in all, struggling to do math here late at night, but that's 8 runners that have been left on base, and that's just through 7 innings. There's another that stands at third. It could be 9. The 0-2 pitch outside for ball 1. Murtaugh doesn't like the first couple of pitches he sees from Sanchez. Finally gets one. Takes a big, deep breath. Takes another and comes set. The 1-2 pitch. Outside for ball 2. Couple of pitches that have been around that high and outside corner that have been called strikes. Some have been called balls. Very different reactions. The Stallions dugout has been loud up and at him all day. The 2-2 is fouled straight back. Figueroa doing a good job to work through it. Really, he's making Murtaugh earn this out. So now Murtaugh likes the first sign he sees. Starts his windup. The 2-2. Outside in the dirt to Sanchez. Draws the count full. So Figueroa was in a very early pitcher's count, has worked it back to full. A big-time spot. Head coach Ryan Dio talking to Aiden Gallagher, who stands at third. Murtaugh starts the payoff. Is lined out into deep right field. Back goes Freitag. He settles underneath it. Gallagher is going to tag from third. A throw in was an excellent throw, but Gallagher gets in there standing up. So Figueroa scores, or Figueroa lines one to left field and picks up a sacrifice fly to make this a one-run game. It's now 6-5, Stallions in front. And the guy that came up hero just a couple of days ago, Joe Carpier's, is at the plate. Carpier's today's 1 for 3. Had a single back in the 6th. Struck out in ground out his other 2 times up. The first pitch that he sees is in the top of the zone for strike 1. These Dragons, they haven't really loved that upper portion of the zone. The issue is the couple of next guys, that's their bread and butter. Robert Mello, Jackson Mueller, they wait in the wing. They don't want to face Murtaugh. The 0-1 gets well away from Sanchez, straight to the backstop. Something Murtaugh does a little too much is that he can pound that top half, but he'll try to place it around the bottom corners and get a little wild at times. Again, Murtaugh working out of the windup. The 1-1 is chopped weakly on the ground over to Passo at first. It gives him a couple of bound hops, but he grabs it cleanly and steps on first for the final out. So Glens Falls gets one back to make it a 6-5 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Aiden Newhall looks to keep it clean so the Dragons offense can come back in the top of the 9th. Aiden Newhall steps back on the mound for the Dragons, trying to keep the game where it's at. 6-5 in favor of Saugerties. The Dragons were able to grab one back in the top of the 8th. Now they need to keep it clean in the bottom half to give their offense the best chance to truly work their way back. It'll be 5, 6, and 7 in the Stallions lineup. They try to give more insurance back to Saugerties. The first pitch to Logan Sanchez, hit on the ground over towards the right side, and he'll get through in between the first and second baseman and out into right field. Mueller had a weak step towards first and then just chose to dive to see if he could get there. Comes up empty-handed. So it's a leadoff base hit for Logan Sanchez. That's put his first single of the day. as in steps the right fielder, John Freitag. Freitag so far today 0 for 2, but has reached every time he's come to the plate. Back in the second reach via fielder's choice. In the fourth via an error, and then in the sixth got on due to a walk. The first pitch that he sees runs inside and nails him. So now Freitag is reached in almost every way imaginable that isn't a hit. He's got a hit by pitch to his name, a walk, an error, and a fielder's choice. But his OBP goes up either way, with the left fielder, Ryan King, coming to the box. And just like that, pitching coach Matt Gonzalez will come out to the mound, and that means Aiden Newhall's day has come to an end. We'll step aside here for a couple minutes with a new pitcher getting warm. We're back at Kansine Field here in Saugerties, New York. Aiden Newhall, after just a third of an inning of work his day is done, started this bottom of the eighth with a single and then a hit by pitch. So he heads to the bench and brings up another righty in Christian Mello. So far this season, Mello, another guy that hasn't had a whole ton of action. He's got a 9.53 ERA across 6 appearances, but he's only thrown 5 2/3 innings, and a large part of that is due to 11 walks. The only player that has more walks than him this season is Xavier Garcia. The difference between Mello and Garcia is that the big lefty in Xavier Garcia has got 4 times the amount of experience as Christian Mello does this season. The first pitch he throws to King is popped foul out of play over towards the Dragons bleachers. So Mello's 11 walks. They're half the number of Xavier Garcia's, but Garcia's pitched in 22 2/3 innings. Not been a great job from Christian Mello so far this season to keep the ball in the zone. Yet the Dragons, they trust him to keep it in the zone in a one-run ball game here in Saugerties. Takes his time to come set. Takes a couple looks at second, no one holding him on. The 0-1 bounced in the dirt. Haynes does a good job to keep it in front. The last time Mello pitched in a game was back against the Stallions in the second game of that doubleheader where he went an inning and a third. But he actually didn't give up much. It was a whole lot of clean work actually from Christian Mello where he gave up 0 hits, 0 runs. He did walk 4, but he struck out 1. So maybe Mello's got the number of the Stallions, trying to keep it where it's at. Again, no one holding on. Sanchez at second. The 2-1 in there for strike 2. So again, it's Sanchez who stands over at second. Freitag, who's over at first. King, the left fielder, is in at the plate. He's 0 for 1 today. He's got a hit by pitch back in the 4th and drew a walk back in the 6th. Mello, he comes set. Takes a look at Sanchez at second. The 2-2 is fouled off. This one popped in foul territory. Haynes goes back, tries to grab it, but it's in over to the Dragons' dugout. So the count's going to stay even at 2 apiece. Mello kind of smiling at that one. Hit off the way that it is. It's been a back-and-forth contest. Saugerties looked like they were going to run away with it at one point. A half inning later, Glens Falls tied it up at 2. In the bottom of the 3rd, Saugerties jumped back up by 2, made it a 4-2 ball game through 3 innings. Then 2 more pitcher duel type work. The Dragons tied it again at 4 apiece. Saugerties hopped out on front again 5-4. They added an insurance thanks to a homer from Anthony Frobos to make it 6-4. The Dragons grab 1 in the top of the 8th. Now a 2-2 pitch from Christian Mello. Bounced in the dirt. Haynes keeps it in front. And just like that, the first hitter, that Christian Mello faces today's game draws full. Mello taking a long time. Coming set. The payoff. Bounced in the dirt for ball 4. And now the bases are loaded for Saugerties. The bottom of the 8th. Not great for Glens Falls. A single, a hit by pitch, and a walk. Put ducks on the pond for the new guy, Mike Liebenson. The second baseman today, 1 for 2. Scored a run back in the 2nd. That's when he had his base knock, the first of the season. Grounded out in the 4th and then drew a walk back in the 6th. The Stallions, they're looking for any bit of insurance they can grab. Mello again taking his time on the mound. The first pitch in the dirt for ball 1. You see the corners for the Dragons in. The 1-0. This one bounces in the dirt. And Christian Mello, who's known to struggle to find the zone, again today, struggling to find that painted area. Mello comes set. The 2-0. Bounced in the dirt for ball 3. And now you see the rest of the Dragons infield. They're playing along the base paths. Anything hit on the ground, they're going to come home, try to keep this game where it's at. Mello takes a deep breath. The 3-0. Finally gets one across for strike one. Mello needs to find out how to do more of those. Otherwise, this game is going to get away from him quickly. Gets the sign to come set. Delivers the quickest pitch so far and gets that one to foul back. Next thing you know, this count has drawn full. It's a 3-2 count for Christian Mello to Mike Leibinson. It's Dylan Fitzsimmons, the 9-hole hitter, who's waiting in the wings. The 3-2 pitch is upstairs for ball 4, and just like that, the Stallions, they really don't have to do much. A single, a hit by pitch, and back-to-back walks bring in a run, and they've got insurance here in the bottom of the 8th. And now pitching coach Matt Gonzalez immediately comes back out, and he doesn't want to talk to the infield, just is going to talk to the pitcher, Christian Mello, not even having Joe Haynes, the catcher, in really on the conversation. And not often do you see Matt Gonzalez come out with kind of almost the aggressiveness that he came out with. Having maybe a little bit of a tough love conversation with Mello on the mound. His first 2 batters he sees out of relief, free passes he gave to both of them. As a result, a run has come to score. So now in steps the left-handed center fielder, Dylan Fitzsimmons. So far today, he's 1 for 3. Had a 2 RBI double back in the second. That started the scoring in today's contest. He's got a chance for a couple more RBIs as well. The first pitch he sees misses inside for ball 1, and that's a pitch that's been called a strike all night. So for no call from the home plate umpires, Mello, who struggled to find the zones, not getting any generosity from anybody else out there. He's got to earn these outs. The 1-0 gets a big cut from Fitzsimmons to make it even at 1-1. The Dragons, they do have an arm warming up down in the bullpen. So in case Mello does allow a couple more through, then you may bring in another arm for Glens Falls, as the light out there by the bullpen just went off a couple seconds ago. The 1-1 is swung on and missed. Fitzsimmons went down to try to get one, but came up empty-handed. So now Mello, he's 1 pitch away for picking up his first strikeout, trying to get a really big K here in the bottom of the 8th. The 1-2, swung on and missed. Christian Mello finally gets out. Sits down. Dylan Fitzsimmons swinging here in the bottom of the 8th. The first out in the bottom half to bring up the 10-hole hitter, Anthony Lino. And so now you see the Dragons defense shift back a little bit. They're trying to turn 2 in the middle. The corner's still in. They'll come home anything weak. The first pitch to Lino is outside for ball 1. It's Freitag who stands at third, King on second, Levinson over at first. The 1-0 is swung on, fouled straight back, evens the count at 1 apiece. Lino so far today 0 for 3. He's got a strikeout, a ground out, and a line out to his name. So Lino, the extra hitter, a rare 10 hitters for Saugerties in today's lineup, proving to be beneficial. The offense is rolled for 7 runs on 7 hits. The 1-1 is hit right up the middle. It gets through for a base knock. In comes Freitag. They send King around to score. The throw from Levinson to third, not in time. Saugerties adds 2 more. They lead it now 9-5 here in the bottom of the 8th. So the Dragons, who had an opportunity to keep it where it was, keep the game in reach, do something they did last Saturday. 2 runs was the deficit going into the top of the 9th, where Glens Falls went and stole a win. Now they're going to have to come back from a little bit further. It's now 4 runs, 9-5. Saugerties leads here at Canton. The top of the lineup for the Stallions steps in. The first pitch to Casey Kaminsky gets behind Haynes. As Lino, who almost went over at first, decides he'll just stay home. But it's missed for ball 1. So the top of the lineup for the Stallions, they're not done. They're trying to make this one unattainable, as there's an arm up and moving for the Stallions in their bullpen, trying to get, well, it wouldn't be a save now with a 3-run advantage for the Stallions. That one runs in and nails Kaminsky along the left leg. So now Christian Mello hits a batter, which loads the bases and brings up the big guy of Anthony Frobos, who's had a stellar first game in the PGCBL. Frobos is 2 for 3 today with a home run, a single, 2 runs scored. How about a walk, a stolen base, a defensive gem to his name? Frobos has just absolutely had his piece everywhere in today's game. The first pitch that he sees is in there for strike 1. Pitching coach for the Dragons, Matt Gonzalez, was out of the dugout. He was kind of looking towards the bullpen. You imagine, unless this is an inning-ending double play, it's the last batter for Christian Mello. The 0-1 to Frobos is upstairs for ball 1. And especially if Mello can't find the zone, you see Gonzalez almost looks antsy in the in the dugout to stop the bleeding. The 1-1 in there for strike 2. Frobos not entirely in love with the call. Shook his head a little bit, but instead gets back out on them in the box and gets ready for the 1-2 count. Mello coming set. The 1-2 is foul tipped. Straight back. It goes off the mask of Joe Haynes behind the plate. So we'll read to the 1-2. So Frobos again has got the bases loaded. Opportunity to really blow this game open. It's Levinson who stands over at third. Lino is the runner at second. And Kaminsky stands over at first. The 1-2 is in there for strike 3. Mello gets his second strikeout of the bottom of the 8th. And just like that, Christian Mello's got a chance to keep it just a 4-run ball game. Now you've got 2 big lefties who wait. They want in on this RBI party. Dylan Passo, the first baseman, he's got to at least get on to keep the action rolling. The first pitch that he sees, he fouls it off over towards the Stallions bleachers, but out of play for strike 1. Passo so far today is 1 for 2. He had a double back in the first. It came up empty-handed, flew out in the fifth, but he's got a sacrifice fly and was hit by a pitch back in the seventh. So the 0-1 to Paso is outside for ball one. A couple of back-to-back lefties in this lineup, but Paso really solidified in that three-hole spot, moving around, kind of mix him in with Haben Siefkin again. George Baker, who's the cleanup spot as Paso smashes that one out to deep right field, a mile high, back at the track, but it's brought in by Houghton. Paso just got underneath one. He was a couple of feet away from a grand slam. Instead, the inning is over. It's just 3 outs Glens Falls has to work with before they are done here at Saugerties. A lot of work the Dragons have got to do to climb out from this deficit. It's 9-5 here in the top of the ninth at Cantine Field. Matthew Murtaugh, his day has come to an end after 2 innings of work, gave up just 1 hit, allowed a run, didn't give up any walks, but he struck out 3. Well, he hands the ball over to maybe one of the best pitchers for this Stallions team and making a case for one of the best pitchers in the PGCBL, Mason Weaver. So far in 3 appearances, he does have a loss accredited to his name, yet he has not given up an earned run so far. 2 of them he has given up. He's given up 2 runs, but none of them earned over 5 1/3 inning. He's given up just 2 hits, walked 4, and struck out 8. So it's tough pitcher that the Dragons have got to face, but let me remind you what happened the last time these 2 teams faced off. Glens Falls came back from down 2 to win that game 5-4. They trail a little bit more today, and so now they need some more work. It's Robert Mello, the first batter, who's got to see Weaver. He's fouled off the 1-0 to make it even at 1 apiece. You can see Weaver's pace on that fastball. He's got that velocity up there a little quicker than most do in the PGCBL, trying to just blow it by everybody. Mello so far today. He watches the 1-0 or the 1-1 in there for strike 2. He's 0 for 3 today, with a fly out and a couple of ground outs. The 1-2 swung on and missed by Robert Mello. The first batter that Weaver sees, he sends him down on Ks. And now there's just 2 outs for the Dragons to work with. This is where the comeback started for the Dragons with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. It all started with a base knock. The first pitch to Jackson Mueller is in there for strike 1. That looked a little high, even on the 6'4" body of Mueller. But it was called a strike nonetheless. Waiting in the wings behind Mueller will be the catcher, Joe Haynes. The 0-1 in there for strike 2. Took a little bit off that one, did Weaver. And makes it an 0-2 count. The 0-2 is swung on and missed. Mueller goes down for the 3rd time today. And just like that, the Dragons are down to their final out. And now it just looks like Jackson Mueller was tossed out of this ball game. Said a couple of words to the home plate umpire. And on his way back to the dugout, and just like that, you see the home plate umpire, Steve Kornberg, say he's got to get out of sight. Matt Gonzalez, the pitching coach, is chirping back, and now you see Jackson Mueller take off the batting gloves. He's got to leave the facility. So Ryan Dio, the head coach, is shaking his head. He's all confused in frustration. Mueller doesn't even grab his stuff. He just starts heading towards the exit. Joe Laspinera Sr. came in from out behind first base. He's kind of mediating right now between here. Matt Gonzalez still kind of confused with what's going on, trying to direct traffic from the Dragons dugout. So we've got head coach Ryan Dio over at third. It's Riley Orr who's over at first. And then Gonzalez is the guy kind of controlling the Dragons squad. He's talking to Laspinera Sr. now, with the home plate umpire, Stu Kornberg, is the one who tossed Mueller. And now all of a sudden, head coach Ryan Dio comes in. He looks towards Kornberg, and he's like, hey, let's go. Kornberg looks at him and says, hey, it's your dugout that's extending this. And so now Matt Gonzalez just kind of settles down. And now we see Gonzalez kind of head towards the exit at the back of the dugout, almost like he's going to try to follow Mueller and at least let him know. Either way, we're back in the top of the 9th. There's 2 outs with Joe Haynes at the dish. The first pitch he sees misses upstairs. It's been an absolute stellar performance out of the pen so far for Mason Weaver. The first 2 batters he's seen, he sent them down swinging on strikes. The 1-0 is popped up into foul territory. Sanchez goes over towards the Dragons bullpen, and it lands foul. Sanchez kind of upset because he felt like he might have got it. But instead, it just ends up being a loud foul ball. So the count will even at 1 apiece. So Weaver comes set with the 1-1. The pitch. Haynes knew it immediately, shook his head off because he saw ball 2 up in the zone. So Weaver will come set. The 2-1 pitch. This one's popped up. It'll be in fair territory, a mile high for the second baseman, Liebenson. He brings it in for out number 3. And just like that, the Stallions take it. They take the lead in the season series 4-3. They enact revenge after the comeback on Saturday. And just like that, the Dragons fall and lose their second game in a row. The final, 9-5 here in Saugerties. So the Dragons fall to 8-14 on the year. They now drop to 8.5 games back, 3 full games back of that final playoff spot. In the East Division, while Saugerties, they improved to 13-10 on the year. And they're inching ever so closer to locking up that second seed. They're trying to get back to being that premier team in the East Division and contend against the Amsterdam Mohawks. All right, that's enough for us here at Saugerties. The Dragons, they fall to start July 9-5 to Saugerties.